From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with your routine Monday morning weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. And this briefing covers the period today through Sunday through the 31st of January. So let's go to the live maps here. We've got satellite, we've got radar, and we've got current temperatures. So as you can see, there's a dividing line here between some much warmer air to the south and cooler air to the north, and we call that, you guessed it, a warm front. So anyway, that is what's happening here, is that all this rain that's across the Carolina, or at least North Carolina right now, is associated with this warm front. And look at how warm it gets south of that front. It's 70 degrees at Charleston, South Carolina. And you can see a large mass of 60s and 70s readings. Now, there are a few models that show this warm front pushing north and maybe seeing some of these types of readings getting into North Carolina, maybe tomorrow before the front comes through. But, typically the cold air, in cold air damming regimes tends to win the battle. So we're not, it's more than likely we're going to stay on the cooler side. This is a cold front. As you can see, there's colder air to the west, and the dividing line here, actually I probably didn't draw that correctly. The cold front's actually back in here. So anyway, you get the idea. There's this cold front, this whole system's going to move east with time, and this cold front will come through later tomorrow. So if we do get into some of these really, really warm readings over the next 24 hours, enjoy it, because it's going to be brief. All right, and so a combination of this warm front and the rain associated with it, and tomorrow's cold front, we're going to have rain in the forecast. Now, as we look a little bit further to the west, there's developing low pressure out in the plains, and that's the secondary follow-on system for Wednesday and Wednesday night we're going to be closely watching. And I kind of alluded to what was it, Thursday's briefing last week. I alluded to a potential interesting weather system, late Wednesday, Thursday this week. And I'll get more into that in just a minute. But basically, occasional light rain is expected today through Tuesday as that complex frontal system moves through. For the midweek period, there's the low pressure area that I was referring to. It's noted here on the map. And that system's going to basically move off to the northeast. And last week when we talked on the Thursday briefing, I was concerned about this high pressure area located right here on the midweek map. Some of the models last week were showing that this high and its cold air mass with it would be further to the south and east, like over here. And I was concerned that the cold air would get in here before the low pressure does. And right now, remember, you may recall, I even said that there's 28 model runs between then and next Thursday. And sure enough, over the course of those 28 model runs, things have changed. The timing has changed, which is so important when it comes to Carolina winter storms, and that it looks like now the low pressure is going to get here before the bulk of the cold air does. And if you want a really good winter weather event right here in the Carolinas, you really need to have the cold air first. So what's going to happen with this system in the midweek is the cold air is going to be chasing the low pressure system. In other words, the cold air comes in after the low is already snuck by us to the south. So with that kind of pattern typically results in a rain event followed by maybe some brief period of light snow at the end of the event as the cold air finally does rush in. But systems where cold air chases the low generally don't amount to big events for us if we see any snow at all. Again, it's so important to have the cold air in place first. And last week, when we did Thursday briefing, the models were showing that, but they've since changed. So reading this bullet point here, a strengthening low pressure system will move across the Carolinas Wednesday and Wednesday night, bringing another round of rain to our area. As this system exits and colder air rushes into our area, the rain may change to snow before the precip ends. And if that does happen, right now, typically these types of scenarios, worst case scenario typically is, up to or maybe less than an inch. Most places, if you see any accumulation, would be like a dusting, if that, and it would be very wet and kind of melty, not really a big problem. And right now, if you do see any kind of light snow dustings at the very end of the event, that would be after midnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That should be mostly confined to areas north of Highway 64. Okay, so anyway, and again, that's Wednesday night after midnight. All right, so that system rapidly exits Thursday morning, and we do get that high. That high does build in, so it'll turn cooler. It'll bring its cold air, but that'll also give us dry weather Thursday through Saturday, and then by Sunday we get the next frontal system move in. And because we have cold, warm fronts ahead of that, it'll be a rainmaker. So rainmaker on Sunday. All right. So that's the way the pattern's shaping up. Now, things obviously could change. We still have, a dozen or so model runs before, late Wednesday. So things could change, but certainly it's trending in the lesser impact type of weather event. All right. So if you're wondering how much rain, so less than an inch of rain expected with today's and Tuesday's weather system. So not expecting a whole lot of rain with the system early this week. And then Wednesday's weather system would be a little wetter with maybe up to an inch of rainfall, dry Thursday through Saturday, and then Sunday's system could bring an additional inch of rainfall to the area. So, by this time next week, we're looking at getting 2 to 3 inches of rain, perhaps. All right. So in terms of, is this rain going to give us any chance for flash flooding? In our office up in the DC area, the Weather Prediction Center, whose excessive rainfall outlook highlights that potential, they are thinking there's not going to be enough rain for any type of flash flooding concern. That's good news. With that warm air trying to sneak up into our area, maybe a few thunderstorms we might hear today and Tuesday, but none are expected to be severe. Looking further down the road, the first week in February, the model data suggests above normal temps but above normal precip. So, gosh, it seems like 2021 is picking up where 2020 left off, wet. So anyway. Occasional light rain, to summarize this all. Occasional light rain is expected today through Tuesday as a complex frontal system moves across the area. Strengthening low pressure system will move across the Carolinas Wednesday and Wednesday night, bringing another round of rain to our area. Then dry through Thursday through Saturday. The next rainmaker will move in Sunday. Now, obviously, for hazards and impacts, anytime, there's always hazards anytime it rains, right? Because wet roads oftentimes leads to hydroplaning, no matter how much rain falls, right? So always slow down on wet roads to avoid hydroplaning. And then as Wednesday's low pressure system exits and colder air rushes into our area, the rain may change to snow, but for a very brief time before it ends Wednesday night. Very light accumulations, if any occur at all, are possible. How much? Maybe a dusting, less than an inch, certainly. But if you see any at all, and again, we're talking areas mainly north of Highway 64 Wednesday night. All right. So there you have it in terms of the numbers there at the bottom. And that wraps it up for this Monday. Of course, if things change with, Wednesday night system, and as we get a little closer, we probably will be producing more in the way of email briefings, PowerPoint slide briefings, and those will be emailed out and posted on our webpage. If things trend back the other way in terms of more wintry, which at this point I'm doubting, then we could always sneak in a live webinar if we need to, but I'm not anticipating that at this point. All right, so just definitely stay tuned to our webpage at weather.gov/Raleigh, and stay tuned to your email for those on our email list.